It was late at night when Black Cleaner stepped into the massive office building. The streets outside were quiet, empty and dark, and a cold wind whispered through the cracks of the doors. She carried her cleaning supplies, her footsteps echoing across the empty marble floors. Tonight, she thought she would be alone. Finally, some peace to finish her work. She switched on her small flashlight, its beam cutting through the shadows. Every corner of the office seemed bigger, darker, and lonelier than she remembered. Desks lined up in perfect rows, computers asleep, and the faint hum of the air conditioner filled the silence. She started her routine, dusting the shelves, wiping the tables, and picking up scattered papers. Her hands moved quickly, almost automatically, but her eyes kept flicking to the dark corners. As she bent to clean under a desk, a sudden creak made her freeze. Her heart skipped a beat. Probably just the building settling, she whispered to herself. She laughed nervously, shaking her head, trying to brush off the feeling. But deep down, a small knot of unease had formed in her stomach. She moved toward the conference room, sweeping the floor. The room was empty, or so she thought. A faint shadow seemed to flicker across the glass wall. She spun around, shining her flashlight toward it. Nothing, just her imagination. She reassured herself. Still, a chill ran down her spine. The office that always felt normal during the day now felt strange, almost alive. Her phone buzzed in her pocket, startling her. She pulled it out and saw a simple message. "You're not alone." Her fingers froze. She looked around quickly, half expecting someone to jump out from the darkness. But there was no one. Her heart raced faster. A cold sweat formed on her forehead, determined not to panic. She continued cleaning. But the sounds grew stranger, a low thump behind her, a whisper movement in the hallway, the soft scraping of a chair against the floor. Each sound made her jump, and she felt the office closing around her. She paused near the CEO's office. The door was slightly ajar. A faint light glowed from inside. Curiosity mingled with fear. Should she peek? No, she reminded herself. Stick to the cleaning routine. Yet the urge was strong. She leaned slightly forward and caught a glimpse of something, a shadow moving quickly across the desk. She gasped and stepped back. Then she felt it, the sensation of being watched. Not just from the shadows, but something more. Someone was observing her. Her hands shook as she clutched her cleaning cloth. The office was silent again, but the air felt heavy, tense, almost alive. Unseen cameras, hidden lenses, she didn't know. But someone was there, watching her every move. And she was about to find out that she had never truly been alone. With a deep breath, she picked up the vacuum and moved toward the far side of the office. Shadows stretched across the floor, twisting with the light from her flashlight. Every step echoed. Every sound was louder than it should be. Her mind raced, trying to convince herself it was just her imagination. Yet, deep inside, she knew tonight was going to be different. Something in the building was awake. Something that had been waiting for her. And her ordinary night of cleaning was about to turn into a test of fear, curiosity, and survival. The first step was always the hardest. And as she took it, she didn't know that eyes were watching from the dark, calculating, and ready for what would come next. The office felt colder now. Black Cleaner moved slowly, her vacuum humming softly as she navigated the maze of desks and chairs. Every shadow seemed alive, stretching and shifting in ways that didn't make sense. She shook her head. Focus. Just clean and finish. But the feeling of being watched had grown stronger, almost unbearable. As she wiped the surface of a conference table, a paper slid for the edge and fluttered to the floor. She bent down to pick it up, but before she could, it moved again, almost as if a breeze had lifted it. There was no wind. She froze, eyes darting to every corner of the room. Nothing. Just me, she told herself. The office's fluorescent lights flickered, casting long, crooked shadows across the floor. A chair in the corner scraped slowly against the tiles. She jumped and whipped her flashlight toward it. Empty. The chair had moved on its own. Her breath quickened. Maybe it's just a draft, she muttered, but the draft didn't explain the faint outline of footprints that had appeared on the dusty carpet, leading toward the stairwell. Her phone buzzed again. This time it was a new message. "You're doing well. Don't stop." Her fingers trembled as she stared at the screen. Who is sending these? Her heart raced, and a cold sweat coated her neck. She looked around, certain she would see someone. Anyone. But the hallway remained empty. Then she heard it. A low, dragging sound from the far end of the office. She froze mid-step. The sound grew louder, echoing off the walls. Slowly, cautiously, she moved toward it, gripping her cleaning spray like a weapon. The sound stopped as suddenly as it began. She held her breath, listening. Silence. Too perfect, too still. Her flashlight flicked across a cubicle, and she saw it. Paper stacked neatly, then suddenly scattered as if a gust had passed. She stepped closer, heart pounding, only to find a single envelope lying on top. Curious and terrified, she picked it up. The handwriting was familiar. Hers. Confused, she opened it. Inside were photos, snapshots of her from earlier today. Smiling as she cleaned, unaware. Notes scribbled on the edges read, "Careful. Every move matters." A chill ran down her spine. Someone had been watching her all along. Her instinct screamed at her to leave, to run out into the safety of the empty streets. But something held her. Curiosity, fear, maybe both. She stuffed the envelope into her pocket and continued cleaning, her movements faster now, almost robotic. As she wiped down the window blinds, she noticed something strange in the reflection. A dark figure stood behind her, just outside the glass door. She spun around, but there was nothing there. Her heart skipped a beat. Am I losing my mind? The office felt alive, as if it were observing her every move, testing her patience, her fear. Every creak, every shadow, every flicker of light seemed deliberate, purposeful. She couldn't shake the sense that she was part of some twisted game, and the rules were unknown. She moved toward the kitchen to gather her supplies, hoping the mundane task would calm her nerves. But even here, things felt off. Cups were slightly out of place, a chair tilted, a note scribbled in pencil that hadn't been there before. Keep going. Don't panic. Her pulse was racing, but she forced herself to breathe, to keep cleaning. Something told her that this night was far from over. Whatever or whoever was watching, they weren't finished. The office was no longer just a place of work. It had become a stage, and she, unknowingly, was the star. Every sound, every shadow, every movement made her question reality. And as she moved deeper into building, she had no idea what awaited her next, what shocking revelation would come when she thought she was finally alone. Black Cleaner's hand shook as she wiped the last streaks of dust from a glass partition. The office was silent, too silent, and every sound seemed amplified. Her own breathing echoed in the empty room, mingling with the faint hum of the air conditioning. She paused and listened, straining to hear anything unusual. A soft thump from the far end of the hallway made her freeze. She spun slowly, flashlight sweeping across the dark corridor. Empty. Nothing. Just my imagination, she whispered, forcing herself to breathe steadily. But the knot in her stomach told her otherwise. Someone, or something, was here, watching, waiting. She continued her work, moving cautiously toward the storage room. As she passed the floor-to-ceiling windows, she caught a glimpse of a shadow reflected on the glass. It wasn't her own. It moved independently. She gasped and spun around, expecting to see someone standing behind her. Nothing. The hallway remained empty. Her pulse raced, her palms sweaty. She clenched her cleaning cloth and moved forward. Then she heard it. Faint footsteps echoing behind her, slow and deliberate. Her heart thudded painfully against her chest. She froze, convinced the office had somehow come alive to trap her. The footsteps stopped. Silence again. But the feeling of eyes on her never left. Her flashlight flickered, and in that brief moment of darkness, she felt a presence near the CEO's office. Without thinking, she ducked behind a desk, holding her breath, her ears strained, picking up every faint sound, the rustle of paper, the distant hum of a computer, the almost imperceptible click of a doorknob. Suddenly, her phone vibrated violently in her pocket. She yanked it out. A message glowed on the screen. Stop hiding. I see you. Her fingers trembled as she stared at the words. Someone had been watching her all along, and now they were taunting her. Her eyes darted back to the reflection in the window. There, just for a moment, she saw a figure standing behind her, partially hidden in the shadows. She jumped up, swinging her flashlight toward it. Empty hallway. Her heart was pounding so fast she thought it might burst. She moved cautiously toward the storage room, every step tense, her ears straining for any sound. As she reached for the doorknob, she noticed a small envelope on the floor. She picked it up with shaking hands. Inside were more photos of her, taken earlier tonight, showing her cleaning, bending, moving, completely unaware. Notes scribbled in the margins read, "Careful. Every move counts." A chill ran down her spine. She was not alone. Whoever was watching knew everything she did. Every step, every movement, every little action. Her curiosity battled with fear, but she couldn't stop herself from scanning the office, trying to understand who it could be. And then she heard it, a whisper, barely audible, coming from behind the conference room door. "Don't be afraid. I'm closer than you think." Her heart skipped a beat. She spun toward the door, flashlight trembling in her grip. The office was empty, or at least it seemed. But deep down, she knew she had just brushed against someone or something that had been there all along. Breathing heavily, she forced herself to continue, cleaning mechanically, every sense on high alert. The office had changed. It was no longer a place of work. It was a trap, a stage, a test she didn't understand. And as she moved further into the building, she had no idea how close she was to the first shocking encounter of the night, a moment that would leave her questioning everything she thought she knew about being alone. Black Cleaner's hands shook as she approached the CEO's office. The envelope she had found in the storage room, still clutched in her hand, felt heavier than it should. Every step she took echoed in the silent office, bouncing off the walls like a warning. Shadows stretched across the floor, twisting with the faint glow of her flashlight. She had never felt more alone, yet never more watched. The office door was slightly ajar, a warm golden light spilling into the hallway. Curiosity pulled her forward, even as fear gripped her chest. Should she open it fully? She swallowed hard, took a deep breath, and nudged the door open with her shoulder. Inside, the room was pristine, too pristine. Paper stacked perfectly, the polished desk reflecting her flashlight like a mirror. She moved slowly, each step deliberate. Her eyes fell on a small drawer slightly open, beckoning. She knelt and pulled it gently. Her heart skipped a beat. Inside the drawer was another envelope. This one was thick, heavy, and sealed with a simple black sticker. She tore it open carefully. Her eyes widened as she saw what was inside. Photographs, hundreds of them, scattered across her lap. They showed her at work, every movement, every action captured. Some even showed her arriving at the building earlier that day. Notes scribbled along the edges read, "Careful. Always careful. We are watching." Her breath caught in her throat. She felt the walls closing in. Someone had been following her, recording her, studying her every step. Panic bubbled inside her, but curiosity, terrifying as it was, kept her rooted. She spread the photos on the desk, her eyes scanning each one, trying to understand. A faint noise made her freeze. A chair scraped slowly across the floor outside the office. Her heart raced, and she whipped her head toward the door. For a moment, she thought it was just the wind, but deep down, she knew better. Someone was there, watching, waiting. Then she heard it. A voice, calm but chilling, drifting from the darkness outside. "You think you're alone, but I see everything." Her stomach lurched. She spun around, flashlight shaking, but no one was there. Her pulse pounded in her ears as she realized the office was rigged, every corner under surveillance. Whoever it was, they had prepared this. They had planned every detail of her night, every step she took. She tried to steady herself, focusing on breathing. The room felt alive, breathing with her, mocking her fear. Every photo, every note, every shadow made her realize she was not cleaning an office anymore. She was part of a game, a test she didn't understand. Her eyes fell on one final note At the bottom of the envelope, written in neat handwriting, it said, "The night has only just begun. Are you ready for what comes next?" Goosebumps crawled up her arms. Her hands trembled as she stuffed the photos back into the envelope. She knew she couldn't leave just yet. Not without finding out who was behind this. Not without understanding why she had been chosen. As she stood, flashlight clutched tightly, she noticed a faint reflection in the window behind the desk. A figure, just a shadow, moved across the glass. Her breath caught in her throat. She spun around, but again, nothing, just shadows, just silence. A cold sweat ran down her back. The office was no longer a place of work. It was a stage. And she was the center of a performance orchestrated by someone with eyes everywhere, watching her every move. Her heart still racing. She knew one thing. The discovery was just the beginning. Whatever was happening tonight was far from over. And when she stepped further into the office, she had no idea what shocking secrets or dangers awaited her next. Black Cleaner's hands were still shaking as she tried to calm herself. The envelope of photos weighed heavily in her pocket. Each image a reminder that she had never truly been alone. Every creak, every shadow in the office now felt deliberate, like a warning. She knew someone or something was watching her, and the fear coiled tight around her chest. She moved toward the hallway, hoping to continue her cleaning, while keeping an eye on every corner. The office seemed unusually quiet. The hum of the air conditioner felt louder, echoing ominously. Then, without warning, the lights flickered and went out, plunging the building into darkness. Her flashlight shook as she turned it on, beams of light cutting through the blackness. Every step she took sounded deafening against the empty floors. And then she heard it, footsteps, slow, deliberate, coming from the direction of the CEO's office. Her heart raced. She froze behind a desk, gripping her cleaning cloth like a shield. The footsteps stopped just outside the office she had been studying. Silence. Then a soft click, the sound of the office door opening. She could feel someone's presence now, close enough to sense the cold air they brought with them. "I see you," a calm voice said, slicing through the darkness. She spun, flashlight trembling in her grip. There, stepping from the shadows, was the boss. He didn't move aggressively, didn't shout, didn't attack. He simply stood there, observing her, a faint smile on his face. The photos, the notes, the messages, it all made sense now. He had been watching her the whole time. Every move, every reaction, every step. Her pulse thudded painfully. "Why? Why are you doing this?" she whispered, voice trembling. The boss stepped closer, his presence overwhelming. "I needed to see the real you," he said calmly. "Not the cleaner everyone sees. Not the one who follows instructions blindly. I wanted to see your courage, your composure, your reaction when you thought you were alone." Her mind raced. Fear battled confusion. Relief mixed with suspicion. And all this, the photos, the messages, the shadows? "All part of the test," he replied, his eyes never leaving hers. "Most people crumble. Most people panic. But you've shown focus, resilience. You've passed." She stared at him, heart still hammering. The office felt smaller now, the shadows less threatening. But her instinct screamed that the night was far from over. Something about the calmness in his tone, the deliberate way he had orchestrated everything. It was unsettling. Her eyes fell on the envelope still in her pocket. "So all of this was just a test?" The boss nodded. "A test, and you've done well. But remember," his voice lowered, serious now, "this building, this office, it watches everyone. Not just you. Everything that happens here. I see. Everything." Goosebumps ran down her arms. She felt both relief and terror. She had survived the first confrontation. But the revelation that someone was always watching was chilling. Her ordinary night of cleaning had become an extraordinary lesson in caution, observation, and survival. The boss stepped back, blending into the shadows, leaving her alone with the envelope, the flashlight, and the silence that no longer felt ordinary. The office seemed to breathe around her, alive with secrets she had only begun to uncover. As she straightened, she knew one thing. The confrontation was just the beginning. The night still had secrets to reveal, and the real test, the shocking truths that would come next, was waiting for her deeper in the building. Black Cleaner stood in the dim glow of the office, still trembling from the confrontation. The boss had retreated into the shadows, his presence lingering like a dark cloud. Her mind raced, trying to process what had just happened. The photos, the notes, the messages, they were all part of the test, but why? And what did she need to prove? Her phone buzzed again. A new message appeared on the screen. "Follow me. Time to learn the truth." She swallowed hard, her heart hammering. Hesitation gnawed at her, but curiosity and a strange sense of duty pushed her forward. She moved carefully through the hallway, flashlight in hand, every sense alert. The boss emerged from a side door, calm and composed. "Come," he said, his voice smooth but commanding. "It's time you understand why." She followed him into a smaller room she hadn't noticed before. The walls were lined with monitors, each screen showing different parts of the building. Employees, cleaning staff, office workers, all being observed. Her breath caught. She had thought the surveillance was just for her, but now she realized it was much bigger. The boss turned toward her, expression serious. "This isn't just about cleaning or following rules. It's about trust, honesty, and awareness. In this company, every action matters. Every detail counts. Some people fail because they act without thinking. Others succeed because they remain vigilant, alert, and careful. You are one of the rare few who could be trusted." Her stomach lurched. All those late nights, all those quiet hours alone, it had been a test of her character, and she had passed. But the intensity of it, the fear, the uncertainty, it was overwhelming. Why go to such extremes?" she whispered. "Because in the world we live in," he replied, his eyes never leaving hers, "complacency is dangerous. People think they're alone, safe, unnoticed, but nothing goes unseen here. Those who succeed understand this instinctively. They notice the small things, the patterns, the subtle warnings. That is why I had to test you. That is why I watched you." Her mind struggled to keep up with his words. She felt a mixture of fear, awe, and disbelief. And then the boss leaned closer, his voice dropping to a near whisper. "But there is one more thing. Someone else is watching us right now. Someone even more careful than I am. Your journey tonight isn't over." Her heart stopped. Another observer? Another layer of mystery? Goosebumps crawled up her arms. She thought she had survived the night, that she had understood the test. But now a new, unseen presence loomed over everything. The boss straightened, taking a step back. "You've done well. You've passed the test. But remember this. Being careful, being aware, it is never enough. There is always someone watching, always another challenge waiting. Tonight was only a lesson. What comes next is up to you." Her legs felt weak, but her mind sharpened. Fear and excitement intertwined. She realized that the office, the shadows, the messages, they were not just games. They were preparation. Preparation for something bigger, something she didn't yet understand. The boss gave her a small nod, a hint of respect in his eyes. Then he vanished into the shadows, leaving her alone with the monitors, the flashlight, and the chilling realization that her life and her world was now far more complicated than she had ever imagined. As she stared at the screens, watching every corner of the building, she knew one thing. The shocking revelation had only opened the door. The real danger, the real mystery, was still waiting. And when it came, she would need every ounce of courage and awareness she had discovered tonight. Black Cleaner's hands were clammy, her heart still racing from the revelations. The office no longer felt like a workplace. It felt like a labyrinth of secrets, shadows, and silent observers. Monitors flickered across the walls, showing every corner of the building. Employees moved unaware, their actions recorded in real time. She realized the truth. The building itself was alive with watchful eyes. Her mind raced. The boss's words echoed. Someone else is watching us right now. Who could it be? Another observer? A higher authority? Or something else entirely? Goosebumps crept along her arms as the thought sank in. Her night of cleaning had only been the first layer of a far deeper game. A sudden click made her jump. From the corner of the room, a hidden panel slid open, revealing another monitor larger than the rest. On it, she saw herself, not from earlier tonight, but from a different angle, another floor, another hallway. Someone had been following her movements without her knowing. Every step, every reaction, every frightened glance. All recorded. She stepped back, her flashlight trembling in her hand. Fear surged again, but this time it was mixed with strange clarity. She understood she wasn't just being watched. She was being evaluated, tested, pushed to her limits to see how far she could handle pressure, fear, and the unknown. A voice crackled over the speaker system, calm, controlled, but unfamiliar. You've done well. Most would have panicked, fled, or broken down. But you adapted. Her blood ran cold. Another presence, the one the boss had warned her about. She scanned the room, flashlight darting across shadows. No one visible, just the monitors, the walls, and the faint hum of electronics. Yet she could feel it. The weight of unseen eyes, calculating, judging, waiting. The boss's voice returned, closer this time, almost whispering in her ear. Tonight was more than a test. It was a lesson, not just about fear, but about awareness. Trust your instincts. Observe everything. Nothing goes unnoticed. She nodded slowly, heart still racing, mind spinning with questions. The envelope of photos, the hidden messages, the shadowy figures. It all made sense now. She was not just a cleaner. She had been a participant in something bigger, something she didn't yet fully understand. Her phone buzzed again. Another message appeared. You're ready? But the game isn't over. Watch carefully. Learn quickly. Survive. The word sent a chill down her spine. The night had changed her. She had learned courage, vigilance, and composure under pressure. But the warning made it clear. Her journey wasn't finished. There were layers she hadn't seen, observers she hadn't met, and challenges she hadn't imagined. As she walked toward the exit, flashlight in hand, she glanced at the monitors one last time. Shadows moved, reflections flickered, and unseen eyes followed her every step. A small, almost imperceptible smile tugged at the corner of her lips. She had survived the night. She had passed the tests. And yet, she knew the real story was just beginning. The building loomed around her, alive, breathing, watching. And as she stepped out into the quiet streets, the city lights flickering in the distance, she realized something unsettling and thrilling. No matter where she went, she could never truly be alone. The watchers were everywhere. The lessons were never finished. And the next challenge could come at any moment. With a deep breath, she tightened her grip on her flashlight, squared her shoulders, and disappeared into the night. But the audience, watching her every move, knew this. Black Cleaner had survived the night, but the game had only just begun.